What happens when four friends in confidence talk it all out and determine to find a better way to breathe as they are waiting for the elusive good man to break a string of less than stellar lovers? Easy, you've got this film right here, which recently celebrated its 30th anniversary a couple of months back last month. Here's my review of Waiting to Exhale. Yo, this is Big D's Entertainment Rankings and Reviews. So, greetings, my fellow YouTubers, and welcome again to Big D's Entertainment Rankings and Reviews. I'm the Big D, and this time around, I bring to you a review of the 1995 romantic dramedy flick Waiting to Exhale, released by Fox, directed by Forrest Whitaker in his feature film directorial debut, starring the late great Whitney Houston and Angela Bassett, adapted from the 1992 novel of the same name by Terry McMillan. The film also stars Lela, Rochon, Loretta, Devine, Dennis Haysbert, Michael Beach, Gregory Hines, Donald Faison, and Mykelti Williamson. The original music score was composed by Kenneth Edmonds, alias Babyface. In other words, let me rephrase that, Kenneth Babyface Edmonds. The film was released on December 22nd, 1995, and while it was not well received by critics, though it got mixed response though, it still did decent enough. And it centers on four women living in the Phoenix metropolitan area and their relationships with men and one another. And those four friends are Savannah, Robin, Bernadine, and Gloria. Well, they get together frequently to support one another and listen to each other vent about life and love. They each want to be in a romantic relationship, but they each have difficulties finding a good man for different reasons. Successful television producer Savannah believes that one day her married lover, Kenneth, will leave his wife for her. When she later realizes that this will not happen, she determines she must find her own man who will love her for who she really is. Bernadine, or Bernie for short, and Savannah is Vanna for short. Well, back to Bernie. She abandoned her career and dreams of having a catering business to instead raise a family and support her husband John in building his business. After 11 years, he announces he is leaving her for a white woman with whom he works, sending her into an emotional tailspin. Enraged, Bernie burns his car, clothes, and some of his other belongings, and then sells the rest of his things for $1 each. So John retaliates by draining their bank accounts. This culminates into a fight over their assets. Robin is a high powered executive and the longtime mistress of married man Russell. After dumping him, she has problems finding someone suitable. Robin has a one night stand with someone she meets while out on the town and another with overweight co worker Michael, while Gloria, or Glo for short, is a single mother. David, her ex husband and the father of her son, Tarek, tells her that he was always bisexual and now realizes he's gay. Gloria eventually falls in love with a new neighbor, Marvin King. Now I'm going to go into the rest of the film story and the ending, so you must stop this video at once, go to the description box below, fast forward to the time below. If you've seen this movie already, please continue. Okay, you've been warned. Their situations all resolve themselves for the better. Savannah ends up permanently dumping Kenneth. Bernadine, after several court appearances, gets a large divorce settlement from John and finds love with married civil rights attorney James, who has a terminally ill wife at home, but encourages her to pursue her catering dream. Robin ends up pregnant by Russell but dumps him and chooses to raise the baby on her own. And Gloria apologizes to Marvin for snapping at him when he suggested that she should let her son Terry grow up and experience the world. She learns not to be so protective of her son and lets him go on up with people trip to Spain. She finds love while learning to take care of herself rather than being self sacrificing in her devotion to her son and her business. End of story. So, what did I think of Waiting to Exhale? Now, I've seen this a few times. This is really a chick flick. Maybe not much my cup of tea, but I still like the film for certain reasons because it has well, legendary R&B star Whitney Houston, may she rest in peace, in it. And it does have a pretty good soundtrack, which I heard some of the songs from this. Well, I gotta say, the story's not too bad and what have you. Anyway, upon release, the film may not have been well received as it got mixed reviews. Susan Stark for the Detroit News stated, "For all the pleasure there is in seeing effective, great looking black women grappling with major life issues on screen, the film is an uneven piece." Liam Lacey for the Daily Globe and Mail wrote of the film, "It never escapes the queasy aura of Melrose Place, just another story about naive people with small problems." However, Roger Ebert positively reviewed the film, stating that it is an escapist fantasy that women in the audience can enjoy by musing, "I wish I had her problems and her car, house, wardrobe, figure of men, even wrong men." The film is notable for having an all African American cast. The LA Times called it a social phenomenon. The film has a 56% approval rating on Rotten Tomatoes. As they say, the film looks at life's ups and downs from an underseen perspective, albeit one that's poorly served by uneven acting and a sporadically interesting story. Well, that's understandable. And here's something else in its legacy and impact. It's in its write-up on the film 30 years after its release last December. NPR compared the film to the popular HBO show Sex and the City, which that premiered a few years later, implying that the show took its premise of four successful women struggling with relationships with men from Waiting to Exhale. Anyway, the film did go on to be a winner at several things. Most notably, it was nominated at the MTV Movie Awards and at the Image Awards, where it won Outstanding Soundtrack, Motion Picture. Loretta Devine won Outstanding Supporting Actress, and Angela Bassett won Outstanding Lead Actress, beyond Whitney Houston. But anyway, there was to be a sequel, but as Angela Bassett confirmed that it was in the planning stages, with all the female principals signed on to star. But however, a year later, the death of Whitney Houston halted plans for a sequel starring all of the original leads, so that's never happening now. Now, in November 2020, it was reported that ABC was developing a TV series adaptation of the film, but we haven't gotten word on that either, unfortunately. Nevertheless, despite the mixed reviews, it still did well, going on to make $82 million worldwide on its $16 million budget. Now, I will say I do think the film's atmosphere is pretty good, and well, I can actually understand everything that this had to offer, even though it's much more chick flick, and sometimes some chick flicks may not be for me, but I had to go into this movie before I go into the review, since I hadn't seen it for a long time. But anyway, I will say it is pretty good. The music done by Kenneth Babyface Edmonds is absolutely superb as well. The soundtrack released on Arista Records, which of course was Miss Houston's label at the time. Well, she had been since the day her self-titled debut album came out a decade prior. Eventually became a big selling album. Eventually made the top 10 and making it to number 1 on the Billboard 200. eventually filed 7 big singles. The first one was Exhale, Shoop Shoop, which went to #1 for Whitney Houston. Unfortunately, that would be Whitney's last song to go to #1, as a matter of fact, on the Hot 100. There'd also be Sit Up in My Room by Brandy, who, well, which was released just before the movie came out. And then, of course, the following year, the next month, she would go on to play the titular character of TV's Moesha. And this was just over a year after her self-titled debut album came out. And those two songs are pretty good, actually. Other songs released from the soundtrack include another song from Whitney called Why Does It Hurt So Bad, as well as a collaboration she did with CeCe Winans called Count on Me, which you could hear at the end credits, for most of it anyway. Mary J. Blige had a contribution called Not Gonna Cry, and Let It Flow by Toni Braxton. And also Aretha Franklin contributed a song called It Hurts Like Hell. But anyway, the soundtrack's pretty good. Exhale actually won the Grammy for Best Original Song. The soundtrack to this day has gone to sell 7 million copies here in the US alone. For our cast, we have the late great Whitney Houston as Savannah, or Vanna. I've got to say she's very good. This is a pretty good film. I think this is her second film, but I could be wrong. But this was after The Bodyguard. And I've got to say, her performance was good. Angela Bassett as Bernie, she was absolutely really good. Loretta Devine as Glow or Gloria, she was good. Lela Rochon as Robin, she was good. Gregory Hines as Marvin, good. Dennis Haysbert as Kent, good. Mykelti Williamson, just a year after he played Bubba in Forrest Gump, played Troy, Robin's one-time lover. Anyway, it does have lots of other familiar names and what have you. Oh yeah, and let's see, and Donald Faison played Terry. Anyway, so there's oh wait, I forgot one more. Michael Beach played John Harris Sr. Yes. Okay, now I got. Okay, so the cast is actually pretty good. So with everything said about this film, Waiting to Exhale, well, it's usually not quite much of my cup of tea, but I would come to it once in a while. Only because I have was actually into some of Whitney Houston's material long ago. I mean, I've heard some of her stuff, and even going to this one. But anyway, it does have an impressive all-star cast and a great soundtrack. The song's pretty good, and the story isn't too bad. So, overall, would I recommend Waiting to Exhale? Well, the way I'd see it, I'd say sure, go ahead, give it a try. I think you'll enjoy it. And that's that. So, what did you think of Waiting to Exhale? Let me know in the comments section below. If you like this video, click the like button, subscribe, click the bell for notifications, and be a part of the Big D Nation. Continue to help support my channel, and you know the rest. Join me next time when I bring to you a review of 50 First Dates. So, if you like this, check out my reviews for some of these other films. If you like. In the upper left-hand corner, check out my review of A Guilty Pleasure about someone who gets entangled in a little bit of a web of despair with a natural white woman. And that would be Obsessed from 2009. Or if you would like, you can check out my review of the Sex and the City movie up there. Or if you would like a little something else with Whitney Houston, check out my review of 1992's The Bodyguard in the bottom left-hand corner. And the bottom right-hand corner is the button you can click to subscribe. If you like rankings and reviews on movies, TV, music, video games, etc., then I'm your guy. Thanks for watching. Until next time, I'm the Big D saying, see ya.